Hi everyone, today I'm going to share my perspective about flipped classroom from my weekly reflection in Dr. Siti's class this week. So, flipped classroom is a very familiar term to all educators nowadays, but how is it actually done? A lot of people are still very much confused about it, and it is something that you need certain training and expertise for you to conduct it correctly. So flipped classroom, um, what is it is that we can see from over here. A traditional classroom, teacher stands in front of the class, and after the lectures, the teacher assigns students to write, for example, an essay of 400 words and read chapter 4. And students sit there, passively listen to the teacher's lesson, and then when they go back home, they will have to produce this assignment and submit it on the following day. So this is a traditional classroom that has been uh, going on for a very long time, and lately flipped classroom has become a trend whereby teacher assign students to watch a video online at home, and when they come to school, they don't just sit there and listen to teacher talk about the video, but instead students will have group activities, class discussion, and so on to in a sense that teacher do not lead um, the lesson anymore, but students will be learning independently in a flipped classroom setting. So what is the pro and the con of each of this? I think traditional classroom works well in most cases because uh, especially for young learners when they are not yet um, independent enough to conduct their own learning or disciplined enough. So traditional classroom works well for students who are not disciplined enough to work independently. So teacher will guide them one by one, step by step, and then they will have to come up with something back at home and submit it the next day according to the due date. So I think traditional classroom works well in many cases, but at the same time, it is also something that is extremely old and needs to be changed because a lot of teachers are very comfortable with traditional classroom setting, and once they step in the classroom, it's like an automatic button that they just run on and on and on about the lesson, and students just sit there passively listen for hours. And this is a scenario a lot of educators face whereby they complain, my students are not listening to me, they are sleeping off, they think that my lessons are boring. And I think this is a common um, problem that a lot of traditional classroom uh, teacher will face because you see students, the maximum, a lot of students maximum span of concentration is probably half an hour to an hour at top. So after that, their mind starts wandering in their own world, and it is just not going to work if you keep running on and on about the topic. So, well, in that way, traditional classroom is not effective, as in student will not monitor their own learning, and they feel trapped, they feel suffocated, they feel bored sitting in the traditional setting and just listening to the mundane lecture. Whereby flipped classroom, the video is already prepared, or any other media material is already prepared beforehand and will be probably emailed or shared to to students' devices. And back at home, they can independently watch the video or study about a particular topic. And when it comes to school, they will have more interaction with their mates, with their schoolmates, and when the interaction is going on, learning is going on as well. And teachers' job is to facilitate them instead of teaching them, because the teaching is already done in the video. And now they are doing their independent learning in the flipped classroom. Alright, so teacher and student both have their respective roles, both at home and at school. For teachers at home, they will have to create a video lecture whether to feature their own self in it, or download a YouTube video or tutorial video of some sort, and then they will have to share with students at home. And when they come to school, when at home, students will receive these videos or any media about the particular lesson, and they will have to watch the lecture, and then they will have to prepare questions that they would like to ask the teachers at home. And when they come to school, teacher will facilitate the discussion and answer whatever question that students have doubts about a particular lesson, and students will have to ask questions and participate in learning activities. So teacher will have to plan some sort of learning activities, whether it's a class discussion, a debate, or group discussion, group work, this kind of activities to facilitate students' independent learning. So flipped teaching in the 21st century, I think it's a good idea, because a lot of students now have their own devices. They can learn independently when they're at home, instead of just writing essays and feel forced to complete some sort of written task to submit for the sake of it. Instead, they can use this time to have some sort of learning at home, and when they come to school, more learning will be going on as they actively participate. So this is my introduction about flipped classroom, about my weekly reflection, and the following videos I will show you what are the platforms we can use as teachers for flipped classroom. Thank you very much.